بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. السلام علیکم ناظرین. جرگوں کی سرزمین افغانستان کے دارالحکومت کابل سے خصوصی جرگہ لے کر سلیم صافی حاضر خدمت ہے. علامہ محمد اقبال نے کہا تھا کہ آسیا یک پیکر و آبیو گلست، ملت افغان درا پیکر دلست، از کشادی او کشاد آسیا، در فسادی او فساد آسیا. اقبال نے تو یہ کہا تھا کہ اگر افغانستان میں فساد ہوگا تو پورے ایشیا میں فساد ہوگا، لیکن وقت نے ثابت کر دیا کہ صرف ایشیا میں نہیں، اگر افغانستان میں امن نہ ہو تو پوری دنیا تک اس کی تپش، واشنگٹن سے لے کے نیو یارک تک اور فرانس سے لے کے دنیا کے ہر خطے تک اس کی تپش پہنچ سکتی ہے. پاکستان ان ممالک میں شامل ہے جو افغانستان کی حالات سے سب سے زیادہ متاثر ہوا، اور جہاں ایک طرف افغانستان کے عوام اور افغانستان کی حکومت ایک لمبے عرصے سے دہشت گردی کی افرید سے لڑ رہی ہے، وہاں کچھ عرصے سے پاکستان کی حکومت اور سیکیورٹی فورسز کو بھی دہشت گردی کی لعنت سے لڑنا پڑ رہا ہے. اور اقبال کی وہ بات حرف بحرف پورے ایشیا اور پاکستان کے بارے میں ثابت ہو رہی ہے. جب افغانستان میں گزشتہ انتخابات کے دوران جناب ڈاکٹر محمد اشرف غنی صاحب صدر بنے تو انہوں نے پاکستان کے ساتھ تعلقات کے ایک نئے باب کا آغاز کر دیا. وہ پہلے صدر تھے شاید افغانستان کے جنہوں نے پاکستان کے ہندوستان کے حوالے سے کنسرنز کو ایڈریس کیا. وہ جی ایچ کیو میں گئے اور وہاں شہداء کے مزار پہ پھول بھی چڑھائے. پاکستان میں بھی ڈاکٹر اشرف غنی صاحب کا نہایت والہانہ خیر مقدم کیا گیا، اور پہلی مرتبہ دیکھنے کو ملا کہ پاکستانی میڈیا میں افغانستان کے کسی پریزیڈنٹ کو خراج تحسین پیش کیا جا رہا ہے. لیکن بدقسمتی سے دوستی، محبت اور کوآپریشن کا یہ دورانیہ مختصر رہا. کچھ عرصے سے ہم دیکھ رہے ہیں کہ ایک بار پھر شکوے شکایات دونوں طرف سے سامنے آ رہی ہیں، دونوں طرف سے الزامات بھی لگ رہے ہیں، اور وہ جو امن کا، دوستی کا، محبت کا خواب دیکھا جا رہا ہے، بعض اوقات ایسا لگتا ہے کہ وہ پورا نہیں ہونے جا رہا. آج ہم جناب ڈاکٹر محمد اشرف غنی صاحب کے سامنے حاضر ہوئے ہیں، اسلامی جمہوریہ افغانستان کے صدر کے پاس، اور ان سے یہ جاننے کی کوشش کریں گے کہ افغانستان اس وقت کن حالات سے گزر رہا ہے، اور یہ جو دوستی میں دراڑیں آئی ہیں اس کی کیا وجہ ہے، اور جو شکوے شکایات ہیں وہ کیا ہے، اور کیا دوبارہ ان محبتوں کا، اس تعاون کا باب کھل سکتا ہے یا نہیں. میں نہایت مشکور ہوں جناب ڈاکٹر محمد اشرف غنی صاحب کا، صدر اسلامی جمہوریہ افغانستان کا، کہ انہوں نے اپنے نہایت قیمتی وقت میں سے وقت نکالا اور جیو نیوز کو اور جرگہ کو یہ عزت بخشی. بہت شکریہ جناب ڈاکٹر اشرف غنی صاحب. First, I was reading an article in New Yorker about your personality, and I remember one of your speech which you delivered in 2005, I think. That was about how to fix the failed state, and you are considered to be an authority on worldwide for this subject. How do you experienced your theory in Afghanistan? And sometimes it looks that you were unable to bring your theory fixing the failed states to Afghanistan in practice. Am I right?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Safi, delighted to welcome you. My greetings, salams to the viewers of Geo. Afghanistan is moving. What was the situation that we confronted? Simply put, an attempt to overthrow the constitution of Afghanistan, to overthrow the legitimate government of Afghanistan, to ignore the will of the people of Afghanistan. Failing that, to divide the geography of Afghanistan, God forbid, into two systems. Unleashing of networks of terror and violence that the world has not seen, it's only recently has experienced. We've overcome. One thing, inshallah, you need to realize. Afghanistan has existed for 5,000 years. Long before I'm gone, this country is permanent. The sooner everybody realizes it, and as Great Iqbal, that whom you cited, indicated, there cannot be a coordination while there is discord in Afghanistan. And the discord has implications. We are not only defending our country with blood, with sacrifice every day, we're building. We're building the consensus to build an effective state, an inclusive state, and a democratic state. And the period of time since I've had the honor and the burden of responsibility is too short to judge success or failure yet.
Mr. President, some days back in Warsaw, once again the world community and the NATO pledged the support of the Afghanistan and the Afghanistan people and the Afghan government. What's your assessment? Till what time Afghanistan will need the foreign assistance and the foreign troops? And till what time we can expect that Afghanistan will be able to defend its border with its own forces?
We are defending our country. We are defending our sovereignty. International forces are not engaged in combat. This was unthinkable if you look into a lot of regional commentators and international commentators. They thought we didn't have a prayer, that the Afghan army was made of puff. But the Afghan army is real. The Afghan security forces are real. This year alone, 3 intensive waves of battle have been launched against us. We've crushed them. Why is there war? And why are international troops still in non-combat roles here? Because our overtures for peace, our entire program for peace, our outreach for peace was not accepted. Had my sincere efforts that you referred to with Pakistani leaders, civil and military, had been accepted, Afghanistan would not have had to fight when we would have not needed international troops. But they were wrong assumptions. I think we've shown them that the international community, the assumption was that the international community is tired, it's exhausted, it's overextended. Afghanistan will not be a priority. I hope it's been proven beyond doubt in Warsaw that the consensus on Afghanistan is unprecedented. Why is there a consensus? Because we are doing our part, and the problem is not confined. This is not a civil war. The networks of international terror, the support that they draw, require international cooperation. We will be, with every day, our security forces are becoming stronger, but we need international support because the war is both regional and international.
But outside Afghanistan, generally, the people believe that it's not the Afghan forces, but it's the NATO and the American who are defending Afghanistan. So who is leading the defense activity in Pakistan? Your own forces or the American?
Our own forces are leading. Well, go look at our barracks. People who are dying. How many American casualties are in Afghanistan? How many European casualties are in Afghanistan since I've become president? Combat requires casualties. This is an Afghan-led operation. We hope that people who are our neighbors will at least bother to check their facts. You cannot, when I used to do field work in 1986, Ms. Bhutto had just returned, and I would go attend all the demonstrations. And then in the salons, in the evening, people who had not attended had all theories as to what had happened. We have to get outside the couches and move and examine realities. This is an Afghan-led operation. The Afghan security forces have shown their mettle, their patriotism, their leadership, and their management. And I'm extraordinarily proud to be their commander-in-chief.
And who is on the driving seat? Is the NATO forces have to obey your orders, or your troops have to obey their orders?
We're not obeying anybody's order. This is a partnership. Their role is non-combat role. In a non-combat role, they provide advice, assist, and train. In counterterrorism, we have joint operations, and I issue orders. For instance, I ordered that the men going by the name of Umar Khattab, who committed the heinous crime of the children, attacking and killing children in Peshawar and taking pride in it, should be bombed, and he was.
What is the biggest challenge to the security and to the lives of the Afghan people? Is it Al-Qaeda? It is Taliban? Is the surrounding countries, the proxies?
Our biggest problem is state-to-state relationship with Pakistan.
This is the biggest problem.
This is the biggest problem. It's the fundamental issue of regional security. Because there are two wars going on. One war is getting coverage, the other war is not getting global coverage. Pakistan has 200,000 armed personnel along the Durand Line. And they're using force continuously, and it's a courageous act. But the fundamental problem are terrorist networks. But because we have not reached state-to-state coordination, we are facing fundamental issues. Sovereign equality between states, an agreement to international rules of the game defining relations between the states is key to regional stability. That has been my message. This is continued my message. We need to arrive at common understanding. The quadrilateral process brought this to a very organized framework, and we hope that we can move back towards implementation.
So, Your Excellency, do you think that this state-to-state relations, problems with Pakistan, this is more biggest problem than Taliban, Al-Qaeda, and other terrorists?
Absolutely. Those are threats. This is a fundamental solution because there's sanctuary. Can anybody deny that there are Taliban offices in Quetta? You go and interview with them. If you want addresses, I'll give you all the addresses. Of course I can give you the addresses. Our Corps commander went and asked to take a ride with the Corps commander Quetta to give them the addresses. They're openly recruiting. They're financed. They're logistic supplies. And sanctuary is against international rules.
Mr. President, we are hearing this slogan from both sides, that the enemy of Pakistan is the enemy of Afghanistan, and the enemy of Afghanistan is the enemy of Pakistan. Similarly, in Pakistan, our rulers, they are repeating this sentence again and again, that we have the same fate, we have the same interest, we have the same concerns. Then the question is, why we are not reaching to a joint strategy to fight this menace of terrorism, in poverty, and other evils?
First of all, look at the potential. Cooperation between us, solid state-to-state relationship, people-to-people relationship. We have a very long history, and there are enormous set of ties. But state-to-state relationship is key. In relation between governments, there is no emotion. This is a rational discussion. It's interest-based. You reciprocate, we reciprocate. There's no... Afghanistan is part of no one's strategic debt. It is never going to be anyone's dependency. Whoever has tried this has failed. Understand this as an historical people, as a people who were willing to sacrifice 1.5 million people to win a jihad that nobody thought possible. Islam is part of our warp and woof. We have a total consensus on this because we unite about this. But the question is not rhetoric. The question is action in practice. We have not allowed, as our latest action again shows, we are not giving sanctuary. We have not allowed open offices. We have not allowed networks of recruitment. We see the danger of terrorism. Any child, whether Afghan, in Punjab, in Peshawar, in Quetta, Karachi, anywhere in the world or around, is valuable. Any threat to that child, we take as a threat to ourselves. When we say, what we ask is that Iqbal be listened to, that the founder of Pakistan's movement be paid attention to, because he understood us. And his memoirs of Afghanistan move us. His poetry moves me deep. Again, I've read almost all the poetry last year from the beginning to end. Here is the question. We cannot say that one group or terrorist amend our constitution, change our Army Act, have a national action plan, and then simultaneously tolerate another group that attempts to overthrow, to undermine, to bring horror, death, and destruction to our neighbor. This is not acceptable.
But do you not think, Mr. President, that now Afghanistan is repeating the same mistake which was committed by the Pakistani establishment in the past? For example, look at to the Fazlullah presence in Afghanistan, and similarly to
Fazlullah, we have bombed 11 times.
11 times.
11 times, 11 operations at least I've authorized. We've gotten his closest affiliates. That he has 7 lives is not my problem. Can you show me a single operation against Haqqani? Can you show me a single operation against Mullah Omar, against Mansoor? Mansoor travels on a Pakistani passport out of Karachi. Does Fazlullah travel on an Afghan passport out of Kabul, or Kandahar, or Herat? Please look, you're not reciprocating our actions. I can give you chapter and verse of the number of operations. Can anybody in Pakistan give me an indication of a single action for use of force against these groups? They're wounded, treatment in hospitals, open meetings in Islamabad.
Is the operation in North Waziristan was not against the Haqqanis, and that was not on the demand of the Afghan government?
The operation in North Waziristan was on the basis of the national imperatives of Pakistan. The threat became large. You've covered it. General Rahil Sharif made a courageous decision to use it, but the consequence of this was that a series of terrorist groups, like beehives, changed their places, increased the threats to us, and the Haqqanis were not touched. The Haqqani network is intact. Miram Shah was hit, and it's very real. And that operation needs to be appreciated. Facts are facts. But we will accept any credible third-party verification. And our proposals are always constructive, Safisib. We say, if we agree the threat to Pakistan is threat to Afghanistan, and threat to Afghanistan is a threat to Pakistan, let's arrive at a systematic framework and have it verified.
Mr. President, the Pakistani government, and particularly the Pakistani establishment, they are mostly and very concerned about the presence and the activities of the Indian RAW on the Pakistani border, and they claim that they have so many evidence of use of the Pakistani side by the RAW against Pakistan. So did you address that concern of the Pakistan?
Look, I've had meetings with General Rahil Sharif, with the head of ISI, with Prime Minister Sharif, and with others. Not a scrap of evidence has been presented to me. And Afghan policy is continuous. We will not permit our country to be used for destabilization of any other country, particularly the neighborhood. 2, we will not sponsor terrorist groups as an instrument of policy. We will not use state organizations as non-state actors. Some people live in a world of mythology. They believe their own allegations. If there are indications, if there are allegations, let's agree to a third-party verification. Would they accept the Chinese? Would they accept the US? Who would they accept? Allegations cannot be made. Allegations need to be substantiated. Again, Afghanistan sees itself as a roundabout, a place of meeting of civilizations, cultures, trades, a source of harmony. For thousands of years, we had fulfilled this function from the Great Silk Road, from taking Indian numbers that became known subsequently as the Arabic numbers. We took mathematics and astronomy during the Muslim period. We are a place of meeting. We do not want to be a source of contentions. We are not part of proxy wars. We want a solid relationship, and it's important to have a fact-based approach and a goal-oriented policy. Our policy is good neighborliness, cooperation, linking Central Asia to South Asia, and despite any tension, our economic cooperation. We are working on TAPI, we're working on the transmission line from Turkmenistan, we're working on CASA, the transmission line. We have not slowed down, but as a landlocked country, we have rights to transit, and transit needs to be. Our relationship is multidimensional. Our greatest problem is poverty. And poverty can be uplifted through regional cooperation. So regional cooperation is absolutely central to the type of policy that I lead and the type of threats.
Mr. President, you are so clear in your mind to act against TTP leadership, and if you are ready to address the concern of the Pakistani government regarding the Indian or the raw presence in the region, then why the NDS or the Afghan government refuses the intelligence cooperation, and when you were going to patch a deal between the cooperation of ISI and your NDS, so why that efforts didn't materialize?
Why did they sponsor the Taliban? A state-to-state relationship means an all-out attack. Twice I was promised peace. Before the spring of 2015, I was promised a peace, set of peace agreements. Instead, what did we get? A vicious wholesale attack on us. In 2016, again, at the highest levels of government of Pakistan, I was assured that within days, peace process was going to begin in earnest, and another series of attacks. In this environment, how do you expect us to behave with trust? You need prior action. We fulfill our obligations sufficiently. And the groups are known. And in the quadrilateral, it is in black and white. Groups that do not accept peace, the peace process, are irreconcilable. About those groups, there's use of force, and there's eviction.
But Excellency, instead of blaming each other in media or in international forum, is that will be not better that your army should talk to the Pakistani army, your intelligence should confront the Pakistani intelligence, and the political leadership should sit with the Pakistani political leadership?
You're repeating my words of 2014. But trust needs to be established. We need to be assured that Pakistan is not going to give sanctuary to groups whose aim is overthrow of a legitimate government. You cannot have it both ways. We tried that. I overcame years of distrust, years of discord. I came with open mind and an open heart. And I repeated that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm still insisting. Governments don't have friends and enemies. We are servants of the people. We have national interest. I am the servant, the first servant of the Afghan people. When the interest my country demanded, I reach out. When the interest of my country demanded, I form partnerships. There is nothing legitimate that I will not do to defend my national interest. And this needs to be understood. And anybody who looks down upon my people, upon my government, upon my constitution, poses an environment that trust will not go. So we have an opportunity. The opportunity is to make history, to overcome the past, to move forward with a sense of vision, with a sense of commitment, and a sense of mutual interest. Mutual interest is the basis on basis of
how we can move forward, how we can achieve once again that environment of trust and cooperation.
Now it will have to be gradual and systematic. First, systematically declaring that Pakistan has no interest in strategic depth. It does not look upon us as a backyard. We're nobody's backyard. Anybody who's stepped here has been swollen. This is a land of lions. Don't look upon it as a land of hens.
But our present leadership, even the political and also the military, they have denounced the concept of strategic depth.
But this needs to have implications. That means don't give sanctuary. It means do not allow for political recruitment of groups that are openly declaring. Our cadets, police cadets on the way of returning or killed, groups in Pakistan take responsibility for them. Our unarmed security apparatus 2 miles from here are studying. They are butchered. In Kabul, bombs are thrown. Responsibility is taken them for named groups. And those groups have headquarters. They have open activity. They have meetings. None of high-ranking Pakistani officials is denied meeting with senior levels of Taliban. How can Mansoor travel on a Pakistani passport multiple times from Karachi airport? And here, there will be accusations. So
but they claim that there are so many Afghans who have get the Pakistani passport.
Please, do not insult the ISI. ISI is far more efficient than not to know who Mansoor is.
In the past, even some of the presidential candidate of Afghanistan, they were holding the Pakistani card.
But those were people that were honored by specific things. But it is not in order to commit terror. The leaders of jihad were engaged in a legitimate Islamic duty and a national patriotic duty, and it was part of our friendship. What I'm bringing to your attention and to your honorable viewers and to officials, we have an opportunity. We have prepared roadmaps. There have been non-papers that have been shared. There is opportunity to act. And I hope that illusions that the government of Afghanistan will collapse, that the Afghan army will collapse, that international forces will abandon us, that we will run out of resources or will or determination. Let's begin with a clean slate, with a full understanding that Afghanistan is here to stay, that based on mutual interest, we can face the greatest threat that faces all of us, which is regional and internationally based terrorist networks that threaten both our countries. That is the threat, and the key to the solution is our cooperation. In that cooperation, we're willing to engage systematically and wholeheartedly, but based on the principle, trust but verify.
What should be the step 1, step 2, step 3 from the Pakistani side?
Step 1, go after declared terrorist groups.
Okay.
Clear. If you don't take action on them, we don't believe.
Step 2.
Step 2, act on the quadrilateral process regarding reconcilables and irreconcilables, so that peace can begin, and those. 3, those who reject peace should be evicted from Pakistan.
And what the Afghan side will reciprocate?
Afghan side will cooperate with counterterrorism. The threat of terrorism is the two sides of the line. If now become a ground for attacks on both of us. Threat of terrorism in Pakistan cannot be contained without full regional and global cooperation. We will engage in full cooperation across the board. People-to-people relationship, economy-to-economy relationship, security-to-security relationship, political-to-political, and cultural-to-culture.
And in that condition, your government is ready to address the Pakistani concern regarding Indian presence or TTP or Baloch separate?
If India is an historical friend of Afghanistan, India is building dams in Afghanistan and helping building our parliament. India is a democratic country sharing our democratic aspirations. Our foreign policy is no one's business but ours, as long as it's constructive. If destructive allegations are made, we will verify. But we are proud of our friendship with India. We are proud of our friendship with China, with the United States. That is the essence of sovereignty. Essence of sovereignty is that you are free to strike partnerships with others. The essence of regional stability is that your friendships with others do not pose threats to your neighbors.
Your Excellency, besides an elected president of the Afghan people, you are also an intellectual and a researcher. I want to understand how you will categorize the relationship of Pakistan and Afghanistan at this stage. Can we say them brother? Can we say them friend? Can we say it is love and hate relation? Or God forbid, we can say enmity or enemy?
In relations between states, there is no emotion. When you call each other brother, it means you're claiming an emotional relationship. Emotional relationships come when there is a stable state-to-state relationship. The phase of brotherhood is later. That's between people. That's not between governments. I do not conduct the affairs of the state based on a model of a family. You can ask all my colleagues. My relationship with them are instrumental in the service of patriotism. We all believe in this basis because family. Dost Muhammad, the man who put back together Afghanistan, faced his brothers. And the elder brother said, based on Afghan honor, now surrender to me the province of Qalad. He said, in the affairs of the state, there's no family relationship. That was one of my predecessors, known as the Great Emir. So our relationship are clear. Clarity in our relationship has been established. Now we need to act to bring about understanding and trust. There's been an undeclared war against us. In this, I articulated both to Pakistani government, to the Pakistani security forces, to the media, to parliament. No one questioned that. The undeclared war must end. And because of it, the two sides must engage in a systematic, constructive dialogue to bring about. What's the danger? The danger is that we could move from excellent people-to-people relationship to enmity between people. That's what I'm trying to avoid. That's why there is no emotion in my language. We are grateful for the support that Pakistan has provided to our refugees. We intend to bring them back honorably. But again, it is to the interest of the refugees, it's the interest of people, particularly in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, in Balochistan who've taken most to be hospitable in here. That's where there has been emotion. Afghan refugees, particularly during the height of jihad, did not feel that they were living in an alien land. They were living in a land that they understood and respected. People-to-people relationships are emotional, and there's a lot of that, and we intend to bring back our refugees. But state-to-state relationships must be rationally conducted. It is based on the principle of interest, and it's based on the principle of reciprocity. When positive actions are shown to us, we move. When negative actions take place, it slows down, but the basic point remains. Afghanistan and Pakistan, like any two neighbors with very long histories, are joined at the hip. We must work together to solve our common problems, not face each other as opponents, because the winner will be terrorism.
One of the common problem is of the refugee problem, and the Pakistani official, they are giving the excuse that we cannot recognize Taliban or we cannot go against them because they are using the refugee camps and they are active in shape of the common refugees. So why the Afghan government is not bringing back its own citizens? Because we didn't even witness in President Karzai period, no refugees came back to their country, and even now in your government. So do you have any plan for the repatriation of Afghan?
Well, two very interesting comments you made. First is an admission that they've actually been sponsoring Taliban. So you in effect said that. The Pakistani officials are saying that they're sponsoring Taliban because they're afraid of refugee reaction. This is an enormous admission, thank you.
But at the same time, they are saying when we'll go against them.
No,
the
I'm
Afghan
saying
government
is that, but
yeah.
now the problem has been put. They've never put this to me with this clarity. If it were put with this clarity, we will solve the problem jointly. But let them at least not say this to you, but not tell me. Because this is important. Second, 5 million refugees returned in the last 14 years, Safi said. At least 2 million of them returned from Pakistan. So it's not that we have not. This is a country which was emptied. So 3, we are very keen to have a holistic approach. Part of the Brussels conference is not going to be just migration outward, but to solve the. I've repeatedly said, and I'm repeating it again, Afghanistan is in an incomplete body till the estimated 4 million refugees in Pakistan, in Iran, return back to our land. But that means I have to have the opportunity to focus on the economy, to move the economy if we want the refugees to be absorbed, we have to ensure 6 to 9% rate of growth. I'm absolutely keen to do this, but regional cooperation will cut this process because all studies have shown once you go from conflict to peace, the neighbors alone benefit from 1 to 2%, save the country. So it's in our mutual interest if the question of refugees in their reactions is of concern, and this would be legitimate, we can arrange, as part of our discussions, a systematic attempt to repatriate our refugees.
Mr. President, although they are challenging the Afghan government, they are killing the Afghan people, but at the same time, the Taliban, they are the Afghans. So why your government is not going to talk directly to the Taliban? Because now their representatives in Qatar, you can contact them, you can talk them. So why Afghan itself are giving opportunity to third forces to come and to intervene?
Well, several things. When we talked during President Karzai's time, weren't the same people arrested? Why was Mullah Baradar arrested? Because he was talking to the Afghans. We needed to make sure, Safi said, this is a multidimensional conflict. First thing, because of that, priority was to differentiate state-to-state relationship with Pakistan, people-to-people relationship with Pakistan as distinct. we need first peace between the two countries. As long as a proxy war is being launched from Pakistan, and as you just said, for whatever set of reasons, they tolerate it or accept it or encourage it, then we have a state-to-state problem. Show me a place where sanctuary has been provided and peace has been established through direct talks. Two, we are talking. We are talking to the Hikmatyar group. We've offered talks now, and again, in my speech to the Afghan parliament after the attack on Kabul, I said, we do not demand peace from Pakistan. We demand commitments of a state to state. We are engaging and we will engage. But it was important to address that dimension that connects directly to Pakistan. And as you've just stated, again, I'm stating, they've made a significant statement. But this is not justification. Terrorism cannot be differentiated. And what you've indicated, citing unnamed officials, is that there's good terrorism and bad terrorism. And that is unacceptable to us.
But the Pakistani side said that when we bring Taliban to Murree, then why the news of Mullah Omar death was released to the media from the Afghan government? Or
The news of Mullah Omar's death came from the Taliban.
That
I
was
had
not
broken-
leaked by the Afghan government?
No, we give an official. We didn't leak. We give an official statement. Leak is when you say something and you don't acknowledge it. My foot had been broken. I was going for an operation. It got 19 stitches. And it needed to come, and the news was leaking. We verified 19 different sources, all within Taliban groups. How is it that, again, an incredibly competent regional intelligence organization did not know for 2 years? And in all the discussions that were conducted with intentions of sincerity, a simple fact like this was not shared with us.
Mr. President, what your government can offer to Taliban? Is there any meeting point because they are not accepting your constitution?
What we are offering Taliban is common citizenship, common destiny, common vision, and inclusion. We accept the Constitution does not differentiate between Afghans. An Afghan who accepts, this is the charter of our existence. And we must live together. We are offering that, and the details of what divide us are subject of peace talks. We did not put preconditions. I've looked at more than 100 peace agreements. I wrote a long article of it, days when I had time to write articles. And based on that, I drew lessons, and one of the key lessons was that we should show our sincerity. We have shown our sincerity and our commitment. But this cannot be, what can be brought in the negotiation process cannot be gained in the battlefield.
And what happened with the deal with the Hizb Islami Hikmat?
It's proceeding. We are still in discussions. It's a constructive dialogue. We're hopeful.
You are hopeful.
Yes.
And when we should expect you in Pakistan once again? In
When
that friendly
Pakistani leaders come with clarity regarding the relationships and the key questions that we have, last time I was there, reciprocity now is that the leadership of Pakistan comes here. I called Prime Minister Sharif, wished him well, and informed him that we had eliminated the heinous criminal.
Our Prime Minister have just passed through and heart surgery. Now he have a new heart. So why you are not inviting him for these talks
We're
to
invited.
Kabul?
We've always, the door is invited. I called the Prime Minister before he went to the operation, and I've just called him again.
And you are inviting him to visit
Of
Kabul?
course, of course. We're delighted to have the Prime Minister.
Mr. President of Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, Dr. Ashraf Ghani, thank you very much.
Thank you,
once
Safi.
again. बहुत
Manana,
ढेर मननस्ता ढेर शुक्रिया
shukriya.
नाजरीन डॉक्टर अशरफ गनी साहब सदर इस्लामी जमहूरिया अफ़गानिस्तान की गुफ्तगू आपने मुलाहिज़ा की। یقیناً ان کی شکایات میں بھی وزن ہے، اور اگرچہ وہ ذاتی طور پر دونوں ممالک کے تعلقات کے لیے انسانی جذبات پہ مبنی اصطلاحات استعمال نہیں کرتے، لیکن میں نے ایک پاکستانی اور ایک اخبار نویس کی حیثیت سے ان کی گفتگو سے یہ محسوس کیا کہ جو ان کی شکایات ہیں اس کی روح وہی ہے جو ایک بائی کی دوسرے بائی سے ہو سکتی ہے، جو ایک دوست کی دوسرے دوست سے ہو سکتی ہے، اور جو ایک گھر کے مکین کی اس گھر کے دوسرے مکین سے ہو سکتی ہے۔ اس دعا کے ساتھ کہ اللہ تعالیٰ کابل اور اسلام آباد دونوں کو امن کا، دوستی کا اور محبتوں کا گہوارہ بنا دے، جناب ڈاکٹر اشرف غنی صاحب کے ایک بار پھر شکریہ کے ساتھ اس خصوصی جرگے سے اجازت چاہتا ہوں۔ اللہ حافظ۔